give it to me, I'll give it to you. I know what you want, you know I got it, baby. If you give it to me, I'll give it to you. As long as you want, you know I got it. Baby, if you give it to me, I'll give it to you. I know what you want, you know I got it, baby.
Hey Internet, John from Team U&A, and today we've got something special for you. We are checking out a workshop. It's been a while since we checked out a workshop, but back in 2018 when we were in Japan, it was the thing that we did. We checked out a few different workshops, and when we were there, we kind of realized that nothing in Australia really compares to what they have. They're just on a whole nother level. Well, nothing that we've seen anyway. But today we have the pleasure of being at DNA Autosport, and we've come to find something that's pretty damn close to what we saw in Japan. Something along the lines of a spoon or something like that, a Type 1, something that's clinical, clean, has beautiful cars, and all the machinery that you need to tune them to amazing track specifications. Let's check it out.
This is something that's been in the back of my mind for a long time, but I guess when you first start out in this industry, you don't know what your niche is, you don't know what you're good at. Now that I've settled into the role as a chassis engineer, and I find that it's something that just clicks, I said to myself, you know what, maybe this is time to give it a shot. We've got some results under our belt, we've got a good range of clientele, so it just felt like the right time. Motorsport teams, right from your grassroots production car teams all the way up to your full-on GT3 teams, they have knowledge, resources and personnel that are available to them that your typical car enthusiast or track day warrior just don't. The idea behind DNA Autosport is that we bring that knowledge, the personnel, that experience under one roof with a focus on vehicle setup and suspension development and make it more attainable to your typical track day warrior or car enthusiast. There are many shops in the Sydney area that have their niche, they have what they're good at, and so do we. Rather than know a little bit about everything, I much prefer to know everything about something. And in this case, it's suspension design and vehicle setup. So that is what I would say our niche is. That's why people would come to us. Plenty of other guys out there are happy to modify engines, modify gearboxes and do all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, when you throw 1,000 horsepower into any chassis, you need to be able to get that power to the ground, and that's where we come in. So this is it's a BMW M4, it's a production car. It was bought from a factory floor, but we've built it up to be almost identical to the GT4 that comes directly from BMW. We've taken a look at brakes. It's obviously running the slick tire as well as a completely custom suspension kit. It's a custom valved and custom designed Bilstein two-way adjustable or Club Sport kit. And on this setup, we've in its first year, we actually won the championship for our class, which was great. Since then, we've actually stepped the car up a notch and we've added the body kit and a little bit more aero grip. So in the limited amount of racing we've had so far, the improvements have definitely shown themselves, so we're really looking forward to getting back out there and seeing what this car is really capable of. Probably one of my favorite things to do is to design a car from the ground up. Yeah.
Yep. So just with this car in particular, though, this is like your car for racing. Like, is this something you compete with?
The owner of the car came to me a few years ago to bring me on board to help him out with the setup of the car and the suspension development of the car, and yeah, that relationship went from professional to quite a close friendship actually, and now I'm really lucky to call myself one of the drivers of the car. So it's one thing to be able to design a car, but to design it, then hop in it and
feel all
see
the
what
changes and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, and see what it's actually capable of is
rewarding, I'd say.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So typically we would work on anything from a street-driven track car right the way up to a GT4, GT3 race car. So it's not so much the car that limits what we can and can't do, we're a shop for the enthusiast. So the person who wants to pay special attention to the suspension setup of their car, or they want to look into developing the handling of their vehicle, that's that is the type of customer, the type of client that we would want to attract, because it is a very dark art, and it's not something that everyone would be interested in, but yeah, it's the clientele that I find would be more attracted to us rather than the car that they have. So this is, you know, it's a street-driven car. There's no modifications done to it whatsoever, but the car does come standard with a set of Bilstein electronically adjustable dampers. So not too long ago, the owner approached us and said, you know, his shock absorbers were leaking, for example, but the dealership just wants to replace them. But what he doesn't know is that Bilsteins are modular, which means we can pull them apart. So we, instead of him being charged an exorbitant amount by a dealership to replace them all we did was pull them apart. We changed all the internals, gave everything a polish, and put it all back together. And the shock is more or less brand new.
So essentially, like any range of coilover / shock, you can kind of service, work on. Doesn't really matter whether it's luxury or, you know, just your standard shock and spring setup in a normal car, or? Yeah,
the majority of dampers allow you to open them up to some extent. There are some that we need to be careful of, because yes, you might be able to get it apart, but can you get it back together? Yeah. But we're reasonably tooled to be able to do quite a lot of the brands that are out there, which is very useful. It's very helpful. It means that we don't need to force anything on anyone in order for us to support them.
Yep.
We can take any type of shock, any type of setup, and work with it and with the client.
So we've seen the out and out track car, we've seen the out and out street car. We're now looking at a drag car. What benefits can something that's entering into the drags have with a good suspension setup?
Oh, it's like I told you before, you can take as much horsepower as you want, squeeze it into whatever chassis, whatever a given chassis you have to work with, but at the end of the day, that power needs to get to the ground. So it's the same thing. It's being able to understand the numbers, being able to understand what the car needs, and then tailoring a suspension kit to suit. It doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be over the top, it doesn't have to be the latest and greatest technology, it just needs to be something that suits the application and is well thought through. And with that, we've proven already we can get results.
Now, I think while we're here, we mentioned you've got kind of 3 bays set up here. You've got them all numbered and everything. Exact same setups with the hoist. So you've essentially got 3 different workstations where you can put the cars up on the hoist, different types of work.
So it's a bit of a testament to my OCD. A lot of my clients will know that I'm very, very picky when it comes to these sorts of things. But what I wanted ideally was enough work bays so that you can have 3 separate cars being worked on at the same time.
Yep.
You don't have people working on top of each other. We can reduce the amount of mistakes that are made, and every car can have its own space, and the person working on the car and the technician can have their own space to get the job done. And it's unbelievably important. You can go to many other workshops and you can see hoist touching the next hoist, touching the next hoist, and it looks like it would be difficult to work in an environment like that. So I just want to space everything out and obviously make it as pretty as possible.
Yeah, so you've definitely ticked that box.
Plenty of room here. Yeah. So these would be 2 examples of what you'd say is like a street-driven track warrior?
Yeah, so this car here was, I believe, originally built to see the track, but it never actually did. But obviously, like you said, it's highly modified. And going back to what we were talking about with the Tirana, you don't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money to get the right thing for your needs. This car is driven on the street. So the rear suspension has been changed in order to get the right height that he was after. So when we throw that on a wheel liner, we need to take all that into account. And like I said, you would spend the same amount of time and the same amount of money in one shop and the same amount of time and the same amount of money here. But the idea is that before we do anything, we think about what the car needs, what the car is going to be doing, and ultimately what's best for, I guess, the setup that's currently on it. With the BMW is a daily driven, street driven car, but underneath it's got adjustable suspension, and the owner of the car actually takes it to the track. So what we will be doing with this car actually shortly is we'll actually be removing all the suspension and revalving it. He wants to align the car more so to its track duties. It's got a set of Bilstein one-way adjustable coilovers in it. So we're pulling that out, respringing it for like I said, its track duties, and revalving it internally so that it can keep up and handle in that sort of environment.
So we've looked at kind of something that's more, serious GT style racing, and you've also got things that are like grassroots style racing. So tell us a bit about that, what you can offer with those. Is that essentially trickling down everything from the top back down to even that level of racing?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, the philosophy is the same. So regardless of the budget and regardless of what it's racing in or its duties, the idea is that before we touch anything, before we do any work, we take that step back and we just have a think about it. So this car here is, I actually love this thing. I've had a steer of it myself. It's an unbelievably fun car to drive. And like I said, it's not something that's going to be competing in 8 rounds of GT racing, but at the end of the day, we sat back with the client and we said, okay, what do we want to achieve out of this? The best way we can do that with the given budget is X, Y, Z.
Yep.
And we just ticked all of our boxes until eventually we got what you see there. And recently it ran in the Wakefield Park 300 and podiumed outright, which is something that we love to see. And it was the first competition around the car I'd ever seen. So for us, that's unbelievably rewarding. Yeah.
Obviously, us being us, we've been to a few workshops in our time. We've noticed you've got this wonderful wheel alignment machine here, but we have noticed that it's not one you'd find in every other workshop. Tell us about it and what makes it so different.
Yeah, so the aligner that we decided to go with was one that uses 3D camera technology rather than laser technology. It just allows us to get that extra level of accuracy that we're after. And with a car such as this, I mean, this car is being spec'd up for a Targa event.
Okay.
And for something that's going to be seeing that kind of terrain where the ride height is constantly changing with all the bumps and undulations in the road, it's really important that we don't just know what the alignment is static, but we also know what the alignment is through all of its bump travel, through all of its rebound travel or droop travel. So the aligner allows us to do that in a convenient place, all in the one corner of the workshop, and we can get that level of accuracy that we need without having to take up the time and the budget of the client. So it's probably one of my favorite bits of machinery in the workshop. The only problem with it is it's not green or purple. But I think we'll make do.
So we can also say that you've got a pretty amazing example of a GTIR. It looks like it's in full drag spec, but we can also say it's parked up in front of some tyre equipment and that. Do you want to run us through kind of what you can offer for these guys?
Yeah, so this car here is something we've done a very basic setup on initially. It's still in its kind of testing stages.
Yep.
But with it, can't go into too much detail yet, but we'll be doing some pretty cool things with the suspension on this car quite shortly. We've got just your typical wheel and tyre facility. So with race cars that are going through sets of tyres every weekend, you know, it's just important to be able to have these facilities here. So I'm glad we have them. I'm glad we're able to offer them, and yeah, this I just want to get out to the track with this thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it looks like it's ready to go.
Yeah, no, it is. It's had a few test runs and hasn't done anything too harsh just yet. But like I said, it's just got a very basic setup in it. But I'm really looking forward to tuning this setup with a new set of dampers. Aside from the workshop, we have the purpose-built damper room. That room has the tools and machinery that allow us to pull apart and service a variety of different dampers, as well as revalve and revamp a set of dampers, or even just throw them on the suspension dyno and check their health. These are all things that people need to consider and people need to think about, and we have that equipment to be able to facilitate all that. Everything in here is here to service, revalve, and just allow us to do what we do with a set of dampers. So the shock dyno there just gives us a good idea of the health of the damper. It'll just run it through a few cycles and then produce a graph for us, a force graph, that allows us to quickly identify whether or not there's an issue internally. And then from there we can just go through, pull them apart. All the furniture in here has been custom made and custom designed for the room. Yeah, luckily for us, we've got that machine there in the corner, which allows us to pull apart shocks that are gassed internally. And it's not something that you find in every workshop. It's definitely, I would call it a very a specialist bit of equipment. But yeah, more or less allows you to defuse a grenade.
Yeah, can be pretty dangerous stuff like that.
Yeah, so, it's not something that any workshop should do or any workshop can do, but it's something that I'm very grateful that we were able to get our hands on. And yeah, like I said, it allows us to take what that BMW has in it, or that Aston Martin has in it from standard, open it up and allow us to then work with the car and the suspension. So
that's it. And you can set it all back to OEM or to full on race spec, whatever.
Correct.
Whatever
Yeah, we could do all sorts of things with it, but it's a small room, but there will be a lot of things that come out of this place. Outside of the workshop, we're available to come out to the track with you. So a lot of the guys, especially your track day warriors that don't get to go out to the track as often as the guys competing, you go out and you spend lap after lap after lap shredding tires, and some of these people, they love what they're doing, but they don't know the line. The habits, the braking habits, the accelerating habits may not be there. So we can come out with you for the day. We can jump in the passenger seat. We can take you through the line work. Some of us are drivers as well. We can take you through the data that comes out of the car. We can help translate that. And then from there, you spend a day with us, you get the groundwork, you get the good habits. We can find bits and pieces of your setup that we can make small changes to attain the most results. And from there, instead of going out there and shredding set after set of tires, you can get so much more out of one set of tires. So yeah, our services don't just end in the workshop. That's something very important that I want to get across to people. We want to follow you out the door, we want to head to the track with you, and we want to have the time of your life with you at the track. We want to be there on the radio and take it all in with you. So that's something I can't stress enough. The services don't stop with the workshop. We're here to support our clients. I would say my goal for the shop is I don't want it to be just like any other garage. I want it to be somewhere where my clients can come, and if they're driving past and they're in the area, they can come and hang out. The idea of it is that it's not so much a workshop where you come in, you pay your bill, you leave. It's somewhere where you can come, you can sit down, you can get some advice, you can take a look at what's going on, see the type of cars that we're working on, and hang out. But at the end of the day, our goal is results. That's what we're here for. We're here, all our blood, all our sweat is given to facilitate those results. And at the end of the day, anything that comes after that is just a bonus. The best way for people to get in contact, other than your typical social media outlets of Facebook and Instagram, they can give us a call. Our numbers are all over our socials. We have our email, info@dnaautosport.com.au. And yeah, any one of those portals, we're there. We're happy to take your questions.
All right, guys, so that is DNA Autosport. What an amazing place. Some truly world-class machinery and services on offer right here in Sydney. So I want to say thanks to Andre and the team for having us. I'm sure we'll see you at the track soon, and I'm sure we'll see some great things to come out of your workshop. Okay, so this was different to our usual workshop tour type videos. This was a more in-depth, sit down interview type thing. Let us know if you guys enjoyed this, and we'll make more of them. If you're new here and you've just found this video, maybe consider subscribing. You don't have to, but if you want to. And yeah, these are our new shirts. Long sleeve U&A shirts. Just in time for winter, it's your new winter shirt. Just in time for tracks reopening, it's your new track day shirt. It's your new everything shirt. Just, yeah, get one, they're cool. We got printing on the front. We got printing on the back. Cool, long sleeve threads. Get some. I don't know what I'm doing. We've got more videos coming soon. Next video is something very exciting that I received in the mail, and yeah, it's mad. It's your new track day shirt and your winter shirt all in one. So yeah, don't be a square and dare to buy U&A clothes. Peace.